Good evening from Bali, everyone. It's Hanifa Menon from hearthealthbrainhealth.com, encouraging healthy grieving and mindful actions. Today I'm doing this darker video only because, darker light-wise, because it is a little bit later than I would normally make a video, but I had to share a little bit of information with you today. Today I wanted to talk about subtle energy, because that's what I've been chatting with you about for a little while now. But this whole compassion, love, wisdom, all of that coming from an even more subtle space, that wise mind, that space of the peaceful mind. It's that space, that divine energy flowing through each of us that can flow these energies out. Now, I wanted to talk today about, again, things like compassion and peace. And this idea is just an idea until it's put into practice. And I've had a really interesting, reflective couple of days here because I've discovered recently that the TB is tuberculosis is actually quite prevalent in the world still. And it's not my new soapbox, but it's just something that allowed me to reflect a little bit about what is happening with TB and how it's not really talked about outside of the communities that are actually affected. I wouldn't even say naturally the communities even. I would say the individuals that are actually affected and their immediate families might know. And even that is very private. And of course, this happens with cancer, that someone can be diagnosed with cancer and it's kept very private. And that's, again, whether I think of third world or first world, a lot of times things that are really important are kept very secretive. And the secretive energy might be helpful in terms of giving a person peace, but then a person also doesn't have the blessings of being supported by caring energy. Now, the blessing that does happen in those secretive sorts of times is that there's no judgment, there's no pressure from anyone to do anything different than what a person is doing. There's no fear added by other people's fears. So there's value to silence too. And silence is an amazing place of healing. If a person is in a space of silence and is actually doing the work for healing, and that would mean including that alignment of body, mind, and soul, that's a beautiful space to be. And then anyone who is attentive to having compassion for a person, not with fear, not with worry, but with a loving attention and kindness in terms of thought, words spoken, or actions, all kindness based has a huge healing effect, but not only on the person that's actually healing or needing healing, but the person who's sharing it, and then the ripples of effect that happen across a much larger perspective. So today I thought I'd talk about this one quotation, and I'm sure you know that these sorts of ideas have been around for quite a bit of time. And it's interesting, whenever I think of kindness and compassion, I always think of the speakers, leaders, saints and sages that I really look up to. And I certainly hope that in this life I am able to also express kindness and compassion and love and empathy and attention and to share this quote. Here's this quotation. It's by Joan Halifax, and it says, "Compassion may be defined as the capacity to be attentive to the experience of others, to wish the best for others, and to sense what will truly serve others." And this is so interesting because when we look at, so again, I've been through a couple of days of reflection about this idea and thought about how we all were in not so long ago times of COVID times, where people were really curious about, does that person have something? Does that person have something? Other people were really working through family members who actually did have COVID or who were actually dying. I remember having a patient who wasn't, or a client who, I shouldn't even say a patient or a client, this is actually a friend, a colleague of the past who was actually in the hospital at the COVID timing, did not have COVID, but I remember his wife was not even permitted to see him. And I suspect you might have known someone like that too. Either you were experiencing not being able to see someone in the hospital, or someone was telling you about their experience like that. And when we think about that, we suddenly started valuing connection so much. This universal experience that happened for all of us, I'm going to say it was the universe working on this earth to maybe wake us up about how important relationships are. And this, I also like to bring in the ideas of Vedic tradition too. And I believe every religion talks about this, but we all talk about it, we read about it, do we practice it, is what I want to remind us. That it's not only family. And then who do we consider family? Is family the last person who helped me significantly when genetic blood could not help me? Is that family? Or is family only genetic blood who perhaps not speaking, not kind, not having some argument, anything? What is family? And so I do feel that family is our world. The world is our family. And then we have a responsibility to each other in how we interact with one another. Are we sending loving energy? Do we have to wait for a disease or a time where a person is really ill? And you know, we have worked in healthcare for so long that this is really part and parcel of this mind's thinking, that a person doesn't have to be in a particular spot of illness to get love and compassion from people around. Now, a person, I also think, in that space should not be feared. Sometimes people don't know what to say to someone, let's say someone who's dying. Sometimes people don't know what to say to someone that they know has just become ill, or has a family member who is ill, or illness is not easy for people to discuss, but there's always a kind energy we can share. So having had a brother who was very ill, which many of you know, and who passed away, I know that he loved having anyone visit, even when he was not able to get up from a bed and or stand from his wheelchair. And in that time, and most of you know that he didn't start life in a wheelchair. So in that, when people saw this experience for him, there was so much concern and sadness, and then fear. Could this happen for my child? Could this happen for me? And when we work from that fear space, no one is benefiting, not the person who is suddenly aware, not the person who's actually in the moment of now going through something. So today I wanted to bring our attention to, there's definitely lots of diseases, concerns, illnesses, sadnesses, griefs in the world. And we know the whole idea of be kind to everyone, because everyone is going through a struggle that you know nothing about. It's so true. And it's so much about what we think and what we speak. It's not always checking in. Are you okay? Are you okay? And it's not like that. It's, if you ask that question, it's nice, but really from a caring perspective, are you okay is a really nice thing to ask someone. How are you doing? But we do know that most of the time in the whole world, I'm definitely seeing here in Bali, and I'm just saying that if I'm noticing it here in Canada, I do think that's reflective of the world's energies, that we don't really listen. There's a lot of people that are speaking to one another and are not being heard. And this happens for all of us. And unless we take mindful attention to see, am I actually connecting with a person? Am I actually listening? Am I actually even caring? Maybe a person wants to listen to me and I think that's strange. And that's how far we've moved away from connection. Maybe I wouldn't be there with a family member, but maybe if it's just a person that I've met 5 minutes ago, I might not be as attentive. And why wouldn't every single person deserve that attention or kindness? And again, saints and sages, as we know, do talk about these things, and I love speaking the same language, and I hope that it's getting through to those of you who are listening. I wanted to end with this quotation, which is by a group, well, it's by Raktivist, and I believe that stands for this group. It's all about random acts of kindness. Raktivist is, of course, the word that they've just used. It's like an activist, but through random acts of kindness. And I think that it's such a beautiful thing to do for all of us to practice. And you know, we don't need to have a show on TV telling us to do this. That's a really popular show, and now that everyone's talking about that show, we do a random act of kindness, and we know this happens. Can we do it because we just know it's right? Can we do it just because we know it's right? So here's the quotation that was posted by them, one of the quotations that I loved. It says kindness is compassion and love in perfect harmony. Kindness is compassion and love in perfect harmony. And so I come back to, who do we love? Do we love only the person we're married to, the person that we're dating, the person that's a blood relative, the person that's our neighbor? Might be a lucky blessing from thoughts that we've heard of, be kind to your neighbor, or maybe because we would like some help from them, so it becomes transactional. All of our relationships have become much more transactional, so that becomes even with family, even with friends. Understand why we do or what you do. And if you do not show kindness, why not? Are you waiting for someone to be kind to you, for you to be kind to them? Are you suspicious about, why is this person kind to me? I haven't done anything. Much of our world has moved into that sort of thinking. And then even the, what does this person want from me? Because if I'm that kind, I would want something from someone. Make sure we reflect on why we think what we do, and then how we think, speak, and practice in our day-to-day life. I wish you a fabulous day, filled with kindness, and most of all, filled with kindness flowing from you to the world around you. And of course, that will flow through yourself first. And I wish you to feel, I wish you do feel this actually every day, this feeling of kindness, of just doing something. This kindness is felt by the world. It is creating vibrations, and we can create vibrations within ourselves to lift ourselves, and we can certainly lift the world around us too. And always, if we're doing something for another, it takes away from the ego space, which I believe is a very healing strategy. I wish you a fantastic day ahead or night, and I hope you remember, transform your mind and transform your life. Have a great day or night, everyone. Bye-bye.